Hey, you! Before you watch this, pause the video and subscribe to Semi-Pro right now.
What's going on YouTube? Ryan back again with another video, and today we're talking about Johnny Manziel. Johnny football is one of the most electric and polarizing players of the last decade. At Texas A&M, everything went right for Manziel. Texas A&M had just joined the SEC, which meant more eyes on the A&M program, and more recognition for Manziel. Kevin Sumlin and Cliff Kingsbury had just come in as head coach and offensive coordinator, who introduced a spread system that allowed for Manziel to use his athleticism in more of a free-flowing offense rather than a traditional pro-style set. Manziel also had Mike Evans as his number one receiver, who helped Manziel out a lot because Johnny was accustomed to scrambling outside the pocket and chucking the ball up trying to make a big play. Mike Evans' large frame and incredible athleticism really helped bail Johnny Manziel out for a lot of the times where Johnny football made mistakes. These three building blocks, along with the natural athletic ability of Johnny, was almost a surefire combination for collegiate success. And he definitely cashed in on that collegiate success. His freshman year, Manziel won the Heisman Trophy after throwing for 3,700 yards, 26 TDs, and 9 interceptions. Manziel really burst out on the scene when A&M came into Tuscaloosa and upset the number one team in the country and rode out the success from there and became the first ever freshman to win the Heisman, and then he led his team to a Cotton Bowl victory. So a pretty successful season for Money Manziel. The next year he continued the same success. The team didn't win as many games, which is part of the reason why Manziel didn't repeat for the Heisman, only finishing 5th, but his stats improved. He threw for more yards and more touchdowns, but he did throw more interceptions, which is a sign of his risky play. But with risk comes big plays and flash, which really only helped his popularity. The problem for Manziel is that he could not stay out of trouble off the field. He was arrested before his freshman year for fighting, and then he was kicked out of a frat party and was under investigation for profiting off of autographs before his sophomore year. These aren't major issues individually, but they are red flags, and these red flags pile up. But more importantly, they bring a media distraction, or media attention, depending on how you look at it. But Johnny's time at Texas A&M had come and went, and he decided to declare for the NFL draft. Unfortunately for Manziel, his play on the field was very sporadic and wasn't the traditional uniform style of play that is typically needed from an NFL QB. He made risky throws, he tried to prolong plays unadvised, and had relatively poor mechanics, tending to throw the ball on the run or off his back foot a lot. These were clear and obvious red flags, and any competent evaluator would see him as a later round pick. But he was drafted by the Browns, the exact opposite of competent. So they decided that a first round pick would be a great investment. His NFL success was non-existent, as some people expected, because he just did not have the proper mechanics or the work ethic. Over 2 years in the NFL, he started 8 games and boasted a 2-6 record, as well as a 7-7 touchdown to interception ratio. That isn't terrible, but think of him as a guy like Duck Hodges. You wouldn't waste a first round pick on Duck Hodges. Manziel also didn't stop his off-the-field issues. He flipped off the Redskins bench during a preseason game, which actually technically is an on-the-field issue. He was involved in a fight at an apartment complex. Then he tried to fix his issues by attending a rehab facility, which didn't help because a few months later, he threw a water bottle at a fan that was heckling him. Then he was involved in a domestic violence dispute. Then he was caught partying during a bye week, and then partied the night before a game during the same season after that was already clearly an issue that was brought up within the organization. Then he was involved in another domestic violence dispute, and after that, the Browns finally decided to say enough was enough and released a statement saying that Johnny undermined the hard work of his teammates and was soon after released. In 2018, Manziel moved on from the NFL out of necessity, but he did find a role in the CFL as a backup for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Then he was traded to the Montreal Alouettes, where he got his first CFL start. But his first start was terrible. He threw 4 interceptions against his former team and got blown out. Manziel would have a few more starts, but was released in February 2019. And then he decided to join the AAF, becoming a member of the Memphis Express midway through the season. But the AAF would disband a few weeks later, and Manziel tried to pick up the pieces. He tried to sign in the XFL, but that never came to fruition. Ultimately, the story of Money Manziel is one of the most tragic. A man with ultimate talent had such hubris that he thought he could get away with everything. He then ended up falling off a cliff because of his own ignorance, and ended up getting away with nothing.